Okay, so here we're going to show you how to fix your annoying sink if it has trouble spinning, and this is a Kohler brand. So now we move under the sink, and I want to show you guys what actually holds the faucet together, because we have to loosen this to be able to pull the faucet up some amount, and that's going to be helpful in this process. And it's also good to show you this because when you tighten everything down at the end, you need to know how this works. So what you see here is a bit of that brass threaded rod. It's hollow with the pipes going through it, and then there's the big oblong washer that you see with two screws going into it. And this washer does thread onto that brass rod, but what's harder to see is behind that big oblong washer is a circular washer that has a little bit of rust on it. You can see on the top right there. That washer actually has two little holes on it that accept those two screws so that you can actually screw into that top washer. So when you're trying to assemble this together, the reason why you want those two things, the big oblong washer and that top washer with the screw holes in it, is that you're going to use the oblong washer and spin it with your hand to coarsely tighten up everything. And then once you get it roughly tightened up, but still to the point where you can kind of finely tune the position of the faucet up top, you're going to hold that faucet in place right where you want it, and then you're going to use the screws to tighten the fixture together and hold it onto that countertop. And that's the whole purpose for this, to give you a way to tighten everything while finally controlling the centering. If they didn't give you that top washer with the screw holes, you could still tighten it down just by hand or with a tool with a big oblong washer, but as you tighten the big oblong washer, you'd end up inadvertently spinning the faucet no matter how hard you tried not to. And so that's the whole purpose for this sort of two-way mechanism to tighten down the sink. And here I show you what size hex screwdriver you're going to need, aka an Allen wrench. You need a 3mm size. That's what it took for me to get this thing in there. And sink. So the first thing I'm going to do is you take off this little plug on the back, and behind there is a little set screw that keeps the handle in place. And so all you really want to do is just pluck it out with a small screwdriver. I already had it plucked out. And then you stick in a small hex head screwdriver and loosen it. You don't have to remove it, you just loosen it a half turn or so, and it should pull out, right out like this. Now here, I freeze it, and you have to unscrew a cap. And this cap is not supposed to be removed with any special tools, because it's a soft metal and you're going to dent and scratch it if you try to do that. And in fact, that's what I did. So if you see any nicks in mine, it's because I took this same channel locks that I'm about to use, and I used that to unscrew it. Again, if you're going to use a tool that's hard, just wrap it up in something soft, a washcloth, or some rubber or something. Okay, so once we remove but don't take a hard tool to it or you'll regret it. What we're revealing is it's yet another sort of nut that's got threads on the outside, but really it's also got threads on the inside. And this one actually has a nice hex head that you can put a channel lock pair on to loosen it. So you break it loose, and you can unscrew it and remove it, and that's going to reveal an O-ring and your valve. And that red little ring sometimes comes off too. That red ring is a burn protection. It kind of limits how hot you can open up your hot valve, and it's adjustable. But underneath it is the water valve, or the holes where the water come out of. So if you didn't turn off your water lines and close them, you would have water gushing out of your sink. So it's very important that you have already closed off your water valves underneath the sink. So now, assuming that you have loosened the nut that holds the whole sink fixture in place, or the faucet fixture in place, you should be able to pull up on this, and it's going to give resistance because there's naturally oxidation and buildup. But you pull up on it, and what you're looking at now is a little white plastic sleeve or collar, whatever you want to call that white plastic, and I'm about to pluck it out. But what you see underneath is you can pull up on the fixture quite a bit because you've loosened and removed that nut underneath, which normally would hold this whole thing in place. So here I pulled off that little white plastic collar, and the area between behind that white plastic collar, which I freeze the video here to talk about. So everything you see, kind of a clear white ring of buildup. Everything above that white ring of buildup is where that collar normally sits, and that's where you get a lot of friction between the buildup on your faucet and that white collar, and that's what makes the sink really, really hard to spin. And that's the reason why you're here trying to clean it all up. There's going to be lots of other buildup in there, and if you really want to go all the way, you can take the whole thing apart and clean it down with some emery cloth. But I'm just going to clean that ring area because that's really where the trouble buildup is. So there I am wiping it a little bit with my finger. So you're going to take some emery cloth and you're going to wipe that down, or some sandpaper if you don't have emery cloth. Okay, this next part I'm emphasizing shouldn't be necessary. I'm sure it wasn't part of the original installation instructions, but for me, because this is the second time I had to fix my faucet because it wasn't spinning freely, I decided to take this extra step. Maybe it's completely ridiculous and doesn't make any sense, so do at your own risk. All I'm going to do is apply a little bit of grease onto this little slip ring, and I'm going to do the same thing to the faucet assembly in which it sits. So the whole idea here is that obviously moisture has caused the faucet to sort of crust over and build up a deposit on it. And so if I just put a thin layer of this grease on it, not only will it make it freer to spin with lower friction, but also it should protect it from getting additional water. So this grease that I'm using, for anybody who cares, is made for automotive brakes. It's for disc brakes. It's just the disc caliper brake grease. You can buy it at any auto parts store. They even sell little packets of it for $1, usually by the register. It's just a synthetic caliper grease. So here I am lightly coating the faucet fixture itself, just a very thin layer. And again, I'm only doing this because this is my second time fixing my faucet, and what I think really happened is that I didn't install the O-ring correctly, and the O-ring is the step that comes after this. So I don't think I did the O-ring correctly 6 months ago when I did this fix for the first time, but I'm hoping this is the last time I ever have to go into the faucet, so I'm taking this extra step. Okay, so sorry about the shoddy camera work here. I had to do all this with only one person. So I'm just lubricating up that slip ring, and then I'm going to put it right on top where it's going to go.
Albo? Albo? Oh, that's one of Doc Dog's cousins' names too? Yeah. Cool. One of Doc Dog's cousins is also named Albo. Rebecca just told me. I know.
That's funny.
What night is your show, The Dark Story?
So the one step that I skip after this is that you should be able to now install the white valve assembly with the metal nut fixture that goes on top. This is the one that you do screw on with the help of a tool like a channel locks or something. So I don't have any video of me doing that, but the next step when I go to the O-ring assumes you've completed that step.
Orchestra, is it Saturday or Sunday or Friday?
All right, and the last step before we put everything back together is really to put on this O-ring, and this is a critical step. So make sure you do it right. You see here it takes me about 2 tries to get this on right because it wants to slip off. But this is really critical because if this isn't in place correctly, or if yours is really worn out or torn, you should replace it, because this is what's going to keep water from getting in underneath this cap and into that space that we had to clean off with sandpaper or emery board. So this is crucial to keeping your faucet free spinning, which is just the way you want it, and which is the reason why we had this whole project to begin with. Okay, so there you can see that slip ring is in place that I put in the last step, and I'm just going to lay this on here. And again, do not use any rough or any tools, to tighten this up. Just hand tighten nice and snug. Mine has some scratches on it because I had taken a wrench to it in an attempt to take it off, and I really didn't need to do that. I just needed to give it a hard shove with my hands or with some rubber gloves or something to get traction on it. So there's all those nicks that you don't want to have on yours. And that's pretty much it. Now, as you can see, everything is going to spin nice and easy. And actually, I still got to finish tightening it from the bottom. And that's pretty much it. Once you've tightened everything and adjusted it and made sure it's nice and centered, and the whole process is pretty much just the reverse of what happened earlier, you should be all set. You can test the water and check for leaks up and down, and hopefully everything is free spinning and stays free spinning. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps somebody.